Hello everyone, I'm Alanah and welcome to my channel where right now I'm allowed to talk to you about the 4 hours that I got to play of Cyberpunk 2077. I'm gonna make 2 videos about this. I guess I'll make more if people have more questions. This one is a Q&A. I took a bunch of questions from you guys. I have about 4,000 actually. Maybe we won't get to all of them, but I'm going to answer everything that I can. So this video will be a Q&A. The second video will be a talk through where I literally walk you guys through absolutely everything that I did in as much detail as possible because I was not allowed to record gameplay. Full disclosure before we even get started, I am super biased where this game is concerned and I'm just owning that off the jump. I'm really excited. It is my most anticipated game of the year and always was. Maybe Doom Eternal was up there a little bit. I will give you my genuine opinions, but no, the hype is real in me. First question, how interactive are the NPCs? Could you talk to literally anyone? Yes, you actually can talk to literally anyone in a way that is pretty similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. Any NPC that you walk up to, and this is the thing that I particularly really like, and the details in Cyberpunk 2077 are what really got me. Anyone that you walk up to, if you stare at them, like even if they're on their phone or something and that's the animation that they're locked in, they'll eventually look up at you. I don't know why. Just tiny things like that when you haven't seen another game do it just make things so much more immersive. They had a lot of really tiny details like that I loved. But generally your talking options for just the regular NPCs that inhabit the world is something like press X and they will say like, hello. Maybe that NPC will get mad at you. It doesn't start a dialogue tree. They'll just say one thing to you. A way that it is not like Red Dead Redemption, and I think this is because there are so many more NPCs in a lot of cases, is that it never really felt to me like the NPCs were living their lives. Some of them are just walking around the street, but in a lot of cases in buildings, they are just sort of standing in a circle, not doing anything. Which is basically because, considering everything is real time in this game, you can be in V's apartment and look out a window and every car you see, every NPC you see on the street is actually there, which is nuts. And I only had one loading screen and it was only when V slept. Otherwise, absolutely none. Even elevators, which a lot of games usually use as loading screens, had TV stations running actually interesting content or cool ads, and they were really short. But generally, considering how dense this game is, they are still NPCs who repeat character models and have samey animations or are not necessarily doing anything in some cases. In other cases, there was a bar that I went to. They felt super alive. There's 2 NPCs that I walked past who were talking about the upcoming election. There was an NPC in a bathroom who was peeing, who has a voice line where he kind of berates you for staring at him for peeing. All that good stuff. Cody Gray said, 2 questions. Are there any dogs to pat? None that I saw, devastatingly. Second, what's your favorite weapon to use so far? My favorite weapon to use was a sniper rifle that could shoot through walls and shoot through cover to an extent. They couldn't have too much cover in front of them. Like a closed door and a barrier would probably be too much. That thing was cool, and the way I got it was extra cool. It was by I guess a side quest that plays out a bit like Monster Hunter. There are these, I believe they're called cyber psychos, these certain bad guys in the world who are people who have modified themselves so much that they've gone insane, and you have the option to track them down and try to kill them. The one that I fought was not like a terribly difficult fight. It was on this really open bridge, but the quest designer I spoke to said they will have tiers. They will have ones that are much harder. But yeah, I by making the choice to go and fight him before continuing on my main quest, got his sniper rifle, which shot through walls. It was very cool. There were a lot of weapons that I wanted when I went to the weapons store in V's building that I didn't have enough street cred to get though. I want to know what that katana feels like, man. Still thinking about it. Phil Correa said, I always felt the Witcher's movement controls were pretty clunky. How does it Cyberpunk feel in this department? I actually agree. I love The Witcher 3 and 2, and frankly, I even played 1. I don't know that many of us did. And when you go back and play The Witcher 3, Geralt does feel pretty heavy. I find myself like trying to turn around a corner and walking into a post. Cyberpunk is a dramatic improvement. Of course, it's all first person, so it's different. But yeah, no clunkiness, no heaviness. I did get to drive 2 different vehicles and was happy with them. I felt like I didn't have that much to say and I'm being told that they're still tweaking them. But for whatever reason, that was the thing that I was worried about feeling sluggish in a way that like a lot of open world games that aren't driving games do tend to suffer with the way the driving feels. I still don't feel like GTA driving feels great. So my review of the Cyberpunk driving would be like, it's not like it stood out to me like it's the best driving ever, but I was by no means offended by it. Cool with it. I do want to say one thing that like is a side note, because I can't imagine anyone's going to ask me about it. When it comes to movement controls, one of my favorite things about Cyberpunk is that you always have control. So if you exit I don't even know what to call it, dialogue interaction, an interaction. Generally, it's because you are choosing to stand up or get out of a car or walk away, and it is always actually a button press for you to choose if you want to sit and talk to someone and get in the seat, or if you want to stand up and walk away. This game, once in my 4-hour period of time, actually locked my screen onto something. Otherwise, I always had control over everything that I was looking at. I always had control over when I was leaving a conversation or starting a conversation. There were no cutscenes. There is supposed to be a cutscene that gives you context for a time jump that was supposed to be in the chunk of gameplay that I played that was not ready yet, I guess. So it wasn't there. And the only time that I had my camera control taken away from me, which again, the designer that I spoke to said that this only happens maybe 4 or 5 times in the entire game, which I love, was because it wanted me to look at a drone. But otherwise there is loads of stuff you could probably miss because you have complete control over the camera. And I just love the amount of agency it gives you by doing that. You choose where you look, you choose when you stand up, when you sit down. It doesn't force you into doing something to be able to start an encounter. And of course, this is an RPG. I feel like I get a vibe from like certain pockets of the internet that they think that this is GTA in a cyberpunk world. This is an RPG. There is tons of dialogue. Your character is very customizable. I spent way more time talking than I spent shooting. So yes, much more like The Witcher than like Grand Theft Auto. I know that's gonna sound like it's a stupid thing that I even have to say to a lot of you, but I do feel like a lot of people are expecting GTA, and this is not GTA. No cops are gonna come after you if you hit a pedestrian, frankly. Bandora said, Alanah, genital customization. Talk to me. I'm glad you asked. Yes. There is genital customization. I did get to go through the character creator. I tried to cut it short because I knew I could have spent a lot of time there. I love a character creator. So I didn't actually customize absolutely everything, but like you could customize stuff like teeth. I've never played a game where you customize teeth before. But yes, let's talk genitals. We're far enough through the video that YouTube shouldn't be too mad at me for saying these just medical terms. You can choose between a vagina, a circumcised penis, and an uncircumcised penis. There was then a slider directly below that for penis size. It was grayed out for this demo. I was not able to change penis size or experiment with the options. The chest size slider was similarly grayed out. Jaffleberry said, does Cyberpunk's gunplay feel like it has any weight? Yeah, I was satisfied with the gunplay, particularly liked the stealth, and I feel like I will do the thing where I approach most things with stealth in mind. You can get through a lot of encounters without killing anyone at all. I would suggest investing in the tech skill if you want to do that. But one of the quests that I played had like 7 different outcomes, and mine, I managed to get one of the gangs to end up on my side, even though our first interaction was really hostile. So they were fighting with me against Militech, which is one of the 2 major mega corporations in the game. And there was a room where I was trying to use my sniper rifle and failing, actually, where everyone just took everyone else out. And the gang leader, who would have been my sort of mini boss fight in that level, because I befriended him, was the mini boss fight for Militech. So I could see the exact guy that I would have fought fighting someone else, which was really cool. But yes, I really liked the shotgun. I really liked the sound design of the shotgun. It almost felt like I was shooting just a really brutal taser, like an exceptionally brutal taser. I like the way weapons look when scoped. Their design is very cool, and getting headshots is satisfying. In terms of feel, I actually felt like the pistol I was using felt the best. But when the other 2 were a sniper rifle that can see through walls and a shotgun that shoots like some kind of electricity like bolt, I don't even know if it was or if it just felt that way. Not bad. Not bad. I feel like I am more attached to the dialogue and the world and the themes than I am to the combat, and I expected that from the jump, but feels good. Phoenix King asks, what does your level with a weapon have on gameplay? If you have a low level with a type of weapon, example shotguns, can you simply not use the weapon, or can you use it but not effectively? Subjects can't move well with it or have difficulty aiming. Yeah, this is a really interesting one, actually. So for anyone who doesn't know, the more you use a weapon, the more you specialize in it. A lot of games do this. You keep using the shotgun, you will level up your ability with the shotgun, but there are also perks you can unlock that will give you like more damage with a particular type of weapon, etc. Yes, if you are new, you will be slower to aim. Aiming may not be as precise. You will literally feel like a rookie using that shotgun. Mila asks, are there a lot of side quests and are they meaningful on their own? I think I only did 2 because I was more interested in getting through the main story and also seeing as much of Night City as I could. I did 1, which was Jesse Cox, actually, YouTuber Jesse Cox. Basically, it was an icon telling me to go investigate, and the implication was that there was some kind of penis enlargement surgery of some kind that went very wrong and his dick was on fire, so he had me take him to a Ripperdoc. I got him in a car, I took him there, I dropped him off, he called me later. He was very thankful and he transferred me some money. It was very silly and over the top and fun. The other one being taking down the Cyber Psycho. Again, I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. I unfortunately didn't write that term down, which was Monster Hunter style. Mila also asked, are there any crafting systems? Yes, but they were not in the demo, so I can't speak to them at all, sadly. And 3, please tell us about the romance options and how they work too. Like, can I have a robot boyfriend? That I know of, only met one romanceable character who I was very into and would definitely romance. So I was extra nice to her, even though I knew obviously what I played of this demo was going to burn to the ground. Her name was Julie? And I actually can't speak to how the systems of romancing characters works, but I can tell you that you will be limited by your body type. So say if you're trying to romance someone who is only interested in someone who has a vagina and you have a dick, they don't want it. There are some games where anyone will bang you if you try. They are just all romanceable options no matter what. But these people have preferences and you have to fit their preference, which I think is cool. It feels to me like there's a lot of replayability. Like I said, one of the quests that I did had 7 different outcomes. Plus there are the 3 backgrounds that you choose from. For the purposes of this demo, I chose Street Kid. I do have a few people asking me if I can kill anyone that I see in the game, like random NPCs or vital characters. I actually didn't try. Because I was trying to get through as passively as possible, really. I never tried to kill any NPCs, I'm sorry. Andrew Sapita said, what were your first impressions a few hours into the game? Like I said before, I was really impressed by that player agency. I think the world is so fucking detailed. Just kept walking around and looking at stuff. The people who designed the back rooms that nobody's ever going to go to and still meticulously placed items there, damn. The lighting is beautiful. It is nice playing a game that is kind of tonally serious, but at the same time is very colorful and pretty. I think it looks awesome at nighttime. And one cool thing that, again, I imagine nobody's going to ask about, so I'll bring it up here. Day-night cycle is 1 real-time hour is 8 in-game hours. And you do have the option to skip time because there are some places, like in a Shenmue, for example, that won't open until a certain time. So you can skip time. Not a new mechanic by any means, but it is the first game I've played where skipping time didn't give me any loading screens whatsoever. We just immediately go from daytime Night City to nighttime Night City. I don't really understand how they did that, knowing how complicated lighting is in video games. Very impressed with that one. There's also one thing that I feel like is just a cool touch. There will be less or more NPCs on the streets or cars driving on the streets depending on what time of day it is. There are less people driving around the city at 3 a.m. Grey Fox said, how does the shooting feel compared to games like Destiny or Titanfall? It's not a first-person shooter. It does not feel like Destiny or Titanfall. I want to say I feel like the combat felt more like Rage than it felt like a Destiny or a Titanfall, which is also more of an RPG. David Rodriguez said, does the game run smoothly? Yes, it ran really smoothly, but I did have a handful of bugs. None of this is cause for concern. All extremely standard stuff for a preview build. Explains the delay. There's more polish to be had, obviously. Brandon Maximum said, does it feel like there's too much to do? Like, does it seem like the player might be bogged down by the different paths / activities available? I had no doubt that there was a lot for me to do even in that open world, but no, it didn't feel like there was an overwhelming amount of stuff to do like, you know, a Ubisoft open world game where they just give you too much crap. It didn't feel that way. However, I do actually think I will spend a lot of time when this game comes out thinking very, very, very hard about how I want to approach quests and in what order. There were a lot of optional tasks given to me in quests that actually often would change the outcome of that quest. Maybe in a positive way, maybe in a negative way. Something as simple as me sitting next to this mob boss and someone pulling him over with a gun. And I They're having a conversation. I'm sitting in the back of the car as V, and I have the option to intervene and to say something on defense of said mob boss. I chose not to. I was told that would have a consequence. So I do think that this is a game where you're going to need to put a lot of thought into every choice that you make, even into the order that you make choices. But it isn't designed in a way that feels overwhelming. It just feels organic, and the word I keep wanting to use is player agency. I felt like I had a lot of control. I also didn't feel like I was the center of the universe. I felt like other people existed and were important. Even just an aside, like having played so much of The Last of Us Part 2 recently, Jackie in combat, if I didn't do anything, would like tank his way through stuff. Like if I was like trying to figure out an alternate route or something, he's just in there like slapping dudes across the face. You can also shoot someone to the extent that it downs them, it doesn't kill them, and just leave them on the ground. Or finish them off if you want to. Just so much player agency. I felt like it was my game, and like I did have a lot of constant choices, but again, in a way that it was about agency, not about overwhelming choice or pointless choices either. TN guy said, do side characters repeat lines every minute, or do they have many different lines to say in and out of combat? You know what? I didn't hear anyone repeat a line a single time. If I took too long to reply, they would be like, hello? So they would sass me if I took like just slightly too long to reply. I didn't hear anything repeated. Pyropnotic, how is the UI? I really like the UI in that it is specific to what cybernetics you have implanted. So you can only see, and you would have seen this in gameplay probably 2 years ago, I think it came out. You can only see how much ammo you have if you have the enhancement that lets you see that in the UI. So you can turn stuff off or turn stuff on or buy stuff to upgrade. Very cool. Michael Noizu said, favorite new additions to the game that weren't seen in any revealed game trailers before. I don't believe we've seen brain dancing in any footage. Let me Google that and make sure. No, it sounds like people know that brain dance is in the game, but that we haven't seen any footage of it. So brain dance is basically a digital recording of a person's experience in the cyberpunk world. Someone who is then viewing that can basically stream brain dance into their own consciousness. So you are watching someone else's experience the way they perceive it, but it also picks up a bunch of sounds that they wouldn't have even necessarily heard that were in the location at that time. And then you can go into brain dance, which is almost like using a sort of VR tech, and experience a recording of someone else's perceptions for a period of time. To make that a lot more simple and get out of the lore, if you want to read up on the lore of brain dance, it's an easy Google. You'll find a bunch of information detailing what it is lore-wise. But it functions like the memory sequences in Remember Me, which probably not many people have played. So to get to something a little more simple, it's like the Batman investigation sequences in, I believe they're in Arkham Knight. It is basically, you need to find out a certain piece of information, and I'm definitely going to play the game when it fully comes out from an investigator standpoint. You could maybe find someone who went to a building that you need to infiltrate, and this is what I did in this demo. There's a record of them having recorded a brain dance in that building. You jump in to what is, again, like VR, and you play that back. So you get to watch everything that they saw play out in real time. And then you can rewind, you can pause. Detroit Become Human did it too. There's a layer specifically for audio, there's a layer specifically for visuals, there's a layer specifically for, So I, in the brain dance that I did, one of two, was looking for a certain thing that would be cooled at a certain temperature. It was a chip that would only really survive if it was cooled at a certain temperature. So I was using the heat scanner while the brain dance is playing out and these people are walking through this room to see if there was something that would fit that temperature description. So that when I infiltrate it later, which I didn't get to do in the demo, didn't get that far, would have been like my next immediate step, I think. I know exactly where I'm going in that room because I've already seen it through someone else's experience. It was very complicated. Definitely took me a little bit to get a grasp of, but very cool. Something we haven't seen before. There is a quest in The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine that sort of touches on this kind of thing, where you have to take a potion that lets you dream a fragment of someone's life. It definitely has a lot of parallels to that. The Rubber Ducky said, other than Keanu, did you feel emotionally invested or connected to any of the supporting characters or even the antagonists? I ask because I'm curious how impactful the storytelling can feel within a small window of gameplay. I was super attached to Jackie off the bat. Two other characters I just thought was so cool and so interesting. Frankly, yeah, I think one of the initial complaints that I had when I saw saw some of Cyberpunk was that I didn't like the writing, and I felt like everyone was all like, hey man, get fucked, and it was just like a bit much. And I did note that on like a sheet for them 2 years ago, and it seems like that shifted a lot. People are a lot more likable, a lot less trying a lot less hard to be edgy. There is actually, I just remember, there is a second character that I encountered that you can romance, who works for Militech and is a huge bitch. And that one, I was like, romancing her must be so difficult. I can't imagine she wants anyone. But no, I feel like there's so much diversity in this game. So much diversity. Just so creative to look at all times, that everyone is kind of interesting. But then the way that the different factions or gangs express themselves physically is also really cool to me. You would have seen that in some of those gameplay videos we've already seen, of course. But yes, I'm very much into the characters that populate this world. Leo Cooper asked, how does Night City compare to other open world games? How detailed is it? Listen, I hesitate to say this. It's a preview build. I only saw a chunk. I was mainly chasing the main quest. I cannot think of a more detailed open world in any video game I have played otherwise. So there's that. Again, very interesting characters, but also very interesting stores and interesting ads. Burrito vending machines. The future is amazing. Jack Armitage said, what was the most mind-blowing moment when playing the preview? I just love how, I just found it so cool, how slowly they dole out the lore. So like there was this homeless guy sitting on the side of a street that V had an interaction with because I guess she'd seen him before. She was like, oh, you're a veteran today? And he's like, yeah, it works. He's holding a sign asking for money. And so I transfer him money. His eyes go blue and I hold my palm out because I'm doing a wireless transfer. And you know he's accepted the wireless transfer because his eyes go blue. The game doesn't say, yeah, I'm ready for the wireless transfer, V. Hit me with the chip in your wrist. It just does that stuff consistently too. There's another enemy that sort of like jacked into me, whose eyes were red when he was staring at me because he was testing to see if I was lying or telling the truth at any given moment. It's just a cool fucking world. There's also just a lot of dynamics going on that I find really interesting. Like I do a quest for a guy who wants me to steal a car. I go to the car. I use the chip the guy gave me to open the car. Turns out the car was bugged. So no matter what, when I scanned that, an alarm was gonna go off. Someone else was coming to steal that same car at pretty much the same time. The cops show up. They like bring us to the ground and are mad at us for trying to steal the car. The guy who's paying the cops off, who is someone in charge of one of the two main corporations in the game, also shows up, tells the cops to break our legs and throw us into the sea. But they don't, because the cops, in most games, are just the bad guys. You don't even fucking think about them. The cops also hate the corporations, because everyone kinda hates the corporations because they have too much money and make everyone their bitch. They're also from our neighborhood, or one of them was. So there's like a respect thing there. They recognize V. They know where she's been. They know where she's from. They hate the fucking guy who paid them to look after his car too. So while they like beat us up and then throw us in an alleyway, they don't kill us. And it's just a lot of stuff like that that was consistently impressing me while I was playing through the game. It's very, very, very well fleshed out. But it's even the way that the tutorial for stealth and combat and the cover systems and basic hacking works came through someone that I was in allegiance with, hacking a Militech chip, which is like the military corporation. So she hacked that chip so that regular people could get training from that chip. Even that stuff is just really well thought out. I also love knowing that in this world, because of the way that it is and because of the amount of allegiances people have, and there are of course people who aren't members of gangs at all, just you don't have to be. Some people consider that to be as bad as being part of a corporation. I never know who's going to betray me ever, and I did feel in a way that I've never actually felt in a video game before, that I shouldn't really trust anyone. I was very suspicious of every single character, and I feel like that means it's taking risks with writing that a lot of games don't. You usually know who's going to betray you. It's usually written on the walls from day one. They foreshadow that stuff all the time. In this world, because it feels so dog eat dog and people can get paid off by other people so easily, I was never sure of anyone, and I was also never sure of who I wanted to betray, because I had maybe 3 encounters where I could have told someone else something someone said about them or did that would hurt them, and I was always thinking about, how do I want to play this? So I know that's not like me giving you like a box quote mind-blowing moment, but that's the stuff that I think is the coolest about this game, that I think is what makes it stand out from other games. That is the reason I'm really fucking excited to play it, more than what I've played. I got a few people asking about melee combat. I did not do any melee combat, so I can't speak to that, unfortunately. Psycho Gaming said, is it full of cutscenes, so you watch 10 minutes for every 10 minutes of gameplay like every other game in its dog, or is there much more gameplay and the control is rarely taken away from you? Literally 0 cutscenes the whole time. They could have given me cutscenes at so many opportunities, but they didn't, and I fucking love that about it. A few people asking what happens if you fail a mission or die. I sadly never did, I don't think. A few people asked me about Keanu Reeves' voice acting. I didn't get to him. I think I was very close though. I think the demo ends kind of right before you get to see him. A lot of people asking if you can enter any building. I didn't try that either. You can drive pretty much any vehicle, same as GTA. You just go over and you take it. It's not as easy as GTA where you can pull them out. Sometimes you'll have to literally shoot them in the face and take their car, and cops don't come after you. Maybe they would if they saw you do it, but generally it doesn't punish you in that kind of way. A few people are asking me about the verticality. Yeah, verticality is awesome. I think V's apartment is like maybe 11 floors up in her building and you can see 40 more. But even in some of the combat encounters, there was verticality. So definitely something that they focused on for sure. Lucas McKibben asked if you take fall damage. You do. There are mods that will reduce fall damage for you and perk. Dave Hiller said, how often do you get to look at your character? I saw myself once in a mirror. Otherwise, I didn't see my character at all. And I think that's pretty much it. I've been recording for 55 minutes, which is like maybe the longest I've ever recorded outside of a stream. Of course, there are a lot of questions. Sorry if I missed any major ones. There are some things that I can't answer because I didn't try them. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, overall, I had a damn fun time, you guys. And I will have more coverage coming. So thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask more questions. I'm happy to get back to you as much as I can. I will see you guys next time. Bye!